Today I'm planting avocado trees, and I invite you to plant one along with me. Now I know what you're thinking. What's this guy talking about planting an avocado tree? That tree has obviously already been planted. And you're right. The trees I'm putting in the ground today are a little bit over 2 years old. There's a lot of very good reasons we don't just take a seed and stick it in the ground. I mean, you don't just bring your baby home from the hospital the day it's born and send it off to kindergarten, right? When these things are young, they're fragile. They're susceptible to disease. They're susceptible to damage. There's a lot of critters that want to eat them. And if you've got this thing planted in the ground and out in the yard where you can't keep your eye on it, it's unlikely to survive. Also, and a lot of people don't know this, a tree grown from seed very often will never bear fruit. Or if it does, the fruit might not taste good. And even when it does bear good tasting fruit, it takes 10 to 12 years. So in order to keep that tree safe when it's young, and also to ensure it grows into a healthy, productive adult, our trees spend the first few years in pots. Now maybe you are a bit more of a do-it-yourselfer. You're a tinkerer. You want to start from seed. Maybe you ate a nice batch of guacamole last night and you set aside your seeds and you're just dying to get these things started. Come with me and I'll show you the process of how you can start from seed and in 3 to 4 years produce delicious avocados in your own backyard. Our trees get their start in a shade house. Welcome to the shade house. This is the place our little seeds get their start in life. Like this guy right here. This is a seed from a Hass avocado that I bought at the supermarket. I came out here, planted this guy in soil a couple weeks ago, and look, it's already starting to put out its first roots. Now it won't be long, it'll put up a little stalk, and it'll start to grow leaves, and we will have a seedling avocado tree. This seedling is about 4 months old now, and the observant among you have already noticed that its seed is 4 to 5 times bigger than the seed from a Hass avocado. This is a seed from a Monroe avocado that I grew out in our grove. Would you be surprised if I said I don't care what seed we use to start our avocado tree? And the reason I don't care what type of avocado this seed came from is I'm not going to let this seedling grow. Lucky for us, there's an agricultural technique called grafting that allows us to control and predict the output of our tree. Let me show you an example. This is a grafted choquette avocado. The bottom portion of this tree was grown from seed, just like this seedling. But this upper portion of the tree here, above the tape, that's a clipping from a mature tree out in the grove. This did not grow from seed. We took a clipping from a mature tree in the grove and inserted it into the seedling we had clipped off. Let me remove the tape and I'll show you what I mean. Look at how nice this shows, where this clipping, this green shoot here, was inserted into a seedling grown from seed. You see this part of the tree right here, this part that was grown from seed, we have no idea what that's going to grow into. It's going to take us 12 years to find out, and we may not like the eventual result. On the other hand, we know what a choquette avocado is. We know that it's a flowering type A. We know that it gives a bright green avocado that grows to about 3 pounds and has these really nice looking ridges. We know that it's harvested the last week of September through about Christmas time. And most importantly, we know you guys love to eat them. So it's probably starting to make a lot more sense why we don't just take a seed and plant it in the ground. Now, after you've successfully grafted your seedling and given it a few months to flourish and then put it in a larger pot, and then given it maybe another month or 2 to get used to its home in the new pot, it's time to leave the shade house. Now me, since I'm a professional grower, I have a little nursery. See, I have some ground cover down, some irrigation, and This is where I keep my adolescent plants, I guess. They kind of jump from infants to toddlers to adolescents really quick. But we want to get them out. We want to get them under the sun so that they can start getting accustomed to the elements of nature. Like this guy right here. This is a anise or anise or something plant. It smells really good, which makes me think it's pronounced anise. Because if it was pronounced anise, I don't think it would smell this good. But the leaves of this avocado tree smell like black licorice. Now, as you can see, he's starting to get bit up by bugs a little bit. There's a little bit of fungus on the tree. That's because he's out here now. He's out here in the elements, out here in nature, out here facing the kind of challenges it's going to face when I eventually put it in the grove. Now, obviously, backyard growers aren't going to have a nursery with irrigation and all kinds of semi-shade built in, but I'm guessing somewhere in your yard there's a shady patch of land. Now, I don't want you here where I am right now underneath this tree in complete shade. But maybe you just kind of come out here to the edge of the shade, and that's where you set your grafted tree now. Your tree is now about 18 to 24 months old. It's sitting in a 3-gallon pot, maybe even a 7-gallon pot. You want to give it a few months outside, still in the pot, so it can get used to the elements. You're still not ready to put it in the ground yet. Well, come on with me out in the grove. I got a little spot here. I actually have a dying mango tree. It's a little mango tree I planted that never really took root and got going. I'm gonna rip that sucker out of the ground and replace it with one of these Donnies. All right, here's my failing mango tree. I put this guy in the ground a couple of years ago with a bunch of other mangoes. The rest of them are all taller than me and giving me fruit. This guy's barely higher than my knees. He's also very sickly. He's got a lot of dying and see this? Just dry branches and stuff like that. So even though there's a little bit of green right now on him, this green is going to turn brown. These leaves are going to fall off. I don't know what the heck's going on with this tree, but he's going to come out of the ground and I'm going to replace it with a Donny avocado. Now, I don't know where you're from, and everyone has different kinds of soil. Now, here we have about that much soil, and the rest is solid rock. Today, I'm lucky because I'm ripping a tree out, so there's a hole left behind, a soft spot where that tree was. But if I was just digging in fresh soil here, it would be an hour of chipping away with this thing and a Johnson bar. But you get whatever it takes to dig a hole in your backyard. And I want you to dig a hole about the width and slightly deeper than the pot your tree is currently in. So if you ran down the local nursery and you came back with a 3 or 7 gallon pot, I want you to dig a hole that you could put that whole pot in. So maybe the lip of the pot is another 1/2 inch or 1 inch below the ground. And I want you to pay special attention to where the graft, the scar from the graft is located on your tree. So again, if you grafted this yourself, or if you bought it at a nursery and it's 2 to 3 years old, you're still gonna see some remnants of the graft. See this little split here and this little knot? That's where the graft is. And we wanna make sure that stays above the ground when you plant your tree. All right, I think my hole is deep enough and wide enough, that's what she said, to accommodate my tree. So let's get this guy in the ground and pack it in. All right, and there we have a planted avocado tree. Yours is gonna look the same. It looks kind of like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, right? When it was in a pot sitting in your patio or your driveway, it looked really big. But you get it out in the grass, especially in a grove like this, where there are big trees around it, it don't look so big, right? So now you know what I'm talking about when I say if I just planted a little tiny seed there and it just sprouted a little tiny sapling, a little tiny seedling and tried to grow, it would be competing with grass and weeds and all kinds of other stuff. But at least now, at this size, small though it may be, it's at least the dominant organism in its immediate vicinity. And you're gonna need to keep it that way. You're gonna need to get out here, get on your knees, pull weeds, pull anything that wants to grow around it and choke it out and compete for nutrition. You're gonna wanna come out and water that thing in immediately. Now, I don't have to do that because I'll be running my irrigation later. And in fact, it's probably gonna rain later because we're in rainy season here in South Florida. But wherever you are, if you got this in your backyard, go get your hose, take the nozzle off, just let it open, lay your hose right at the base of the tree. Just let it run for a 1/2 hour or so. That water will get down there into the soil. It'll fill up any air pockets, and it'll cause all that air to bubble up to the surface and get rid of all the pockets, and all that soil will pack down nice. Then I want you to give it 30 days. Don't fuss with it. Don't mess with it. Just let it grow there for 30 days. Starting at about day 45, and every 45 days after that, come out and give the tree just a little spray, the top and bottom of the leaves, with a copper antifungal spray. That'll keep fungus off your leaves. You'll notice you'll start to get some browning on the leaves. That's fungus. You come out every 30 to 45 days, give it a little spray of copper antifungal. It'll keep your tree nice and healthy. Then at another 30 days, so now you're at day 60, I want you to come out and I want you to throw a little, maybe a coffee cup full of 666 fertilizer. That's 6-6-6 mix fertilizer. But I don't want you going right near the roots, right near the stalk, the stump of the tree here. I want you to give it about an 8-inch ring or wider, maybe 10, 12 inches around the tree. And after you throw that fertilizer, come out with your hose and water that fertilizer in. Continue watering about every other day, every third day, depending on if it rains or how dry the air is where you live. Now you follow those steps and it won't be long before you come out to your backyard and you find yourself a nice big batch of avocados that you know are the result of your hard work. Another place you can get trees and clippings is guacfarm.com. GUACFARM.com. That's our website. We sell these t-shirts out there. When we have them, we sell grafted avocado trees. When we have them, we sell cuttings from our avocado trees. And when avocados are in season, we grow them too. Now I got 2 more trees to plant. Then I'm going to hit the shower and take a nap. While I do that, you go out to guacfarm.com and I will see you on the next video.